Hey guys, sorry it has taken so long to get this out, but it's here and we will explain why this is on this channel at the end of the video, so if you want to know, wait until the end. Let's get into it. Okay, so a quick rundown of what happened in part 2. Our boy Isekai is under a momentary death threat from Tarzan for even bringing up fixing Sonet's degraded brain. He relents and lets our Cryptek do the surgery on his curator. And with a lot of luck and my duct tape, he actually manages to fix and overclock Sonet's brain. Afterwards, Tarzan and our Cryptek successfully hash out a plan on how to save one of the first tomb worlds on the list. Tarzan needs a lot of time to prepare, so our Cryptek heads back home. Isekai had a little bit of time to reflect on how 36 years had passed, and more he was noticing little blips in his Necron memories. When he got back to the Cryptek's lab on his tomb world, Anon had a major mental malfunction, unable to distinguish his old life from current events, as seeing some weird variant pattern fucked with his head. When picking up Wraithbone and not mistaking it for Wraithbone paint of the same name, his mind suddenly fixed the issue and made him forget he was even going crazy for a solid minute. Isekai eventually decided to give the cursed designs a shot and managed to build off them and make a new Canoptek machine, using the patented Isekai, aka Oromite, to go ahead and make the first prototype. After that, Anon wanted to test his metal against his Lychguard, one who is considered to be a named unit. Agahet, as a Lychguard, armed himself with the classic war scythe, a staple of those in Essential Order. He spoke up first. "Thank you, my lord, for allowing me to demonstrate to you why I was selected to be your protector." Oh, he's going to shit-mix me entirely. "Let us commence, my lord." With no confidence, I say, "Yes, let's." He doesn't waste time and he starts moving to encircle me. I can't help but try and do the same, though he simply moves faster than me. Dialing my chronosense to a near stop, I take in a mouthful of air. I strike the architect's chord, with a sound resembling an electric guitar riff. A sonic cone blasts forth. I see the exact moment as Agatek tries to push off the ground. The sonic booms skidding across the floor with a blue electrical crackle, where the sonically electrical sparks touch down. I see the black stone floor become a black slag. With that, I dial back to the regular flow of time, which was a mistake. The black stone couldn't transmute fast enough to keep up with his movements. In a fifth of a second, he had already leaped forward, feet a centimetre more off the ground. He swung the scythe down diagonally at me. Even as my chronosense started to wind back to life, I couldn't do much in the way of beyond falling backwards in painfully slow microseconds. I helplessly watched as he sliced just below my jaw. I wanted to cry out in pain, but I couldn't. Each agonising moment of pain dragged out with my lengthier perception of time. The war scythe crackled with electrical surges, which tried to cook and fry my systems. I saw my chin and the decorative essence totem, Falsebeard, slowly go flying in the carried motion of his scythe. His grip loosened on the scythe's length and made a minor shift in the small of his hands. He was turning the war scythe to try and get another cut into me. I couldn't let that happen. I reshaped the necrodermis at the tip of my index finger that was slowly already aiming to hit a chord. My now spiked digit struck the chord of entropy. In the 10th of a span of a second, the reverberating sonic blast impacted his torso centre mass. I watched as his chest began to gradually protrude in pangs of instability. It was like his living metal had become ferrofluid. This didn't halt his assault in the slightest, as he had managed to flip his war scythe in that time. His war scythe caught at my intestinal cabling, and I received half a dozen warnings on my ocular, which I instantly banished. I felt cables tear, tubes of coolant rupture, spraying vital fluids, and worst was when I felt my chest frame rend, as his war scythe broke free from my chest cavity. How is his chronosense surpassing mine? He once more tries to flip his blade, again, but I'll be damned if I let him get his third strike in. My extended digit catches on the string and rips down the induction cord. Agahet sparks, as suddenly all of his energy bank sputters from a fraction of a moment. The energy tears free from him, floating back as an ambient energy. I use this moment to fling myself off to the left. His war scythe only managed to dent one of the essence plates on my cape. As I slowly fell back, I struck the fortification cord. A weak sludge of blackstone sprouts between us before suddenly hardening into a solid wall. I could already hear him shred through half of it. I let normal time take me. I roll in a tumbling mass of clattering metal plates and clinking essence totems. Rising back to my feet, I turn my harp to face myself. Agahet steps out from behind the blackstone wall. As he takes a rush step to me, the upper half of the wall falls back. A massive gash bore into its face wall. My pointer and pinky finger hovered 2 separate chords. I wasn't sure which to test out first. I was feeling a bit better. The living metal was already repairing the split in my chest. My own internal gut wounds were fixing themselves, and by the looks of it, so was Agahet's. He dashed forward, bringing the war scythe down on my head. Even with his greater chronosense, I had already managed to hit both chords. Wait, did I just hit both chords? I only meant to hit one. My body was violently revitalised and charged up with something far greater than what Sinet had received. The 2 notes that I had hit had been the iconoclast chord and the waveform chord. I felt every iota of my being cook, overheating to critical levels. No logic chains could, or augur sweeps could be pulled during the pisosecond after the combined sonic reverberations struck my body. The resurrection orb matrix at my back soothed me for another pisosecond later. My body was briefly transmuted to match the composition of the fractal shards of the outsider that inhibited the iconoclast chord. I was likened to Cataan's star god. I was literally blinded in my power. I hadn't even noticed when Agahet had cut straight through my spinal column seconds later. The strands of light that make up a being aren't destroyed by the pretty cut. 1 second has elapsed. The Lychguard is sputtering. His words are meaningless to me. 2 seconds have elapsed. I look to the hallways. Every canoptech constructed within 5 sectors of this room will begin swarming this chamber. I am seen as a rogue Catan. My current existence cannot be accepted. For all intents and purposes, I am. My very being has replicated the outsider for a fleeting second of seconds. I have consumed all ambient energy and that of my resurrection orb matrix. It isn't enough to keep this form. 3 seconds elapse before my body collapses, realising an awakening cascade event. Need to wake up. Feel extremely cold actually, and everything feels stiff. When I finally take a peek around, I find that I'm not alone. 2 golden and chrome coloured skeletal figures stand to either side of me. Their backs to me. They haven't noticed me yet. It takes me a second to identify what the hell they are. The massive fuck-off spears. The clunky coffin-shaped shields. They're armed with the Necron war scythes and dispersion shields. War gear commonly found on the Lychguard. I feel like throwing up. Agahet, how long have I been out of commission? I ask. The Lychguards turn to me, both kneeling and bowing their heads. I really couldn't give a single shit about Necron customs right now. My lord, you have been slumbered for only a few days. Agahet answers. He hesitated, wanting to say something more. Out with it! I snapped. When you... 387 warriors, 232 immortals, 91 death marks, and 31 Lychguards have been awoken when you transmuted yourself, my lord. I take a deep breath and lay quiet in my sarcophagus for the next 10 hours. At the 11 hour mark, I'm greeted by one of the death marks that were awoken. Is he even allowed to be in these chambers? He asked me about the surface world. I haven't bothered to learn things about our tomb world beyond cursory info. I have not. Why don't you go ahead and gather the other death marks and create a full topographical map of the surface? I'm sure you can find some organic creatures you can hunt along the way. I bullshit my way through the conversation. I'm still burnt out from the whole Catan and... Hold up. Did he just call me Ishi?
And now, the models of our website. Brought to you by neckbeardia.co.uk. Get y'all some of these titties.
Dwarf titties, orc titties, cat titties, fat titties, the gases and wastes a bit. Vampires and goblins and all the buff champions and even hentai, yeah that too. Dragons, manticores, ogres and gnomes and bugbears and even more to go still. Undead and demons and then our friend Pally and definitely not 40k. Wood elves, dark elves and lizards and Megan the Slither and James the look cool as he stands. Beholders and kobolds and tyrants and only in a donkey with a frying pan. If you don't want no models, then no need to bother. We now have subclasses and teas. Also, Garbro's book, go have a look. Check out the link to Ko-fi. Thank you for watching our videos and giving our channel a hand. But this is the end, our viewers and friends, so let's get back to the video, man. I fucking hate myself. Be me, Oricam. Currently in the service to the slumbering Sautek dynasty. Currently I have occupied myself in the Zatoth's harmonious sphere, where time flowing within the sphere has been significantly altered, equating 100 years of studying to only 3 years. I had cast my astral algorithm out of my physical body, for I needed to conduct extensive research. I made my way to the etheric library. I would be reading over hundreds of digitally recorded data scrolls from Cryptek's long past. The first century had yielded multiple small victories in the pursuit of astrological studies. I had discovered several hidden hexographical sigils, which should assist when casting my divinatory scries. By the second century, I moved on to turning the various theorems I had gained in the previous century into practice. With splayed digits at precise angles, I completed several new metal rituals and continued. I simultaneously spoke the algorithm chants, letting the verbal emitters stored within my wickering tail to complete several sets of incantations. With my free hand holding the Staff of Tomorrow, I drew hexagonal zodiacs of my own devising. I observed the digital rendering star charts, seeing minor zodiacs and celestial formations, and adjusting my alignment a few tenths of a centimetre. This was what made the Astromancer discipline such a difficult one to follow. So many precise and intricate esoteric bits of lore needed to follow. I cast my zodiac, and I found it failed. Not by my own designs, however. I cursed and repeated the extensive process once more, this time tweaking the positioning of a certain set of celestial bodies on the digital map. Failure. Again I worked to alter it once more. Failure. I tried dozens of times over and over, before something caught my attention. An anomaly on the galactic west of my current footing. The birth of a star. Before I could take any note of it, I found the fledgling wink out. 3 seconds had hardly passed on the outside. I had taken an extensive time within this sphere to all those rituals. What could have happened out there in such a span of time? B. Sinet, chief curator of the Solomon's Galleries, and a dimensionalist Cryptek. I have been tasked by Overlord Trazan and my exalted Cryptek Ishakar to make preparations for their mutual journey. Several servants have reanimated for this venture. 80 warriors, 20 mortals, 30 Lychguards have been reanimated. They will not remember being roused from their slumber. As for the various machines and transports, 2 Canoptek reanimators, 12 Canoptek wraiths, 4 Canoptek scarab swarms, and 2 ghost arcs, and finally a doom scythe have prepared. All have been loaded within Lord Trazan's ship, the Lord of Antiquity. High Transmographer Ishakar has requisitioned the remains of a Jokero vessel to be added to the list of supplies. Odd, but Lord Trazan approved. A bit out of character for my overlord. He also asked that jewellery worn by one of the youngest Jokero families be added. The overlord approved with a chuckle. I dare not inquire as to why. Other such requisitions request various metals and radioactive minerals. I could only assume for transmutation. I heard mention of something about a cake being made. I'm unfamiliar with the word. In other news, I said about the taxing process of tearing a rift in reality for a dimensional gateway. I have truly been blessed by Ishakar. To me, the very makings of the fabric of space-time have become paper thin to my superior power. Tearing a stable rift and binding it to a blackstone gate is a paltry effort. The gate's construction only takes me 15 years instead of 25. By the end of it, I'm no longer filled with the balefire the Cryptek had bathed me in. I approved the portal keying in various coordinates given to me by the Cryptek, and opening the gate to one of the Votex dynasty's tomb worlds. Be Farak Oshuria of the Rytek dynasty, and also a member of the Awakened Council. Currently I am on the tomb world of Bakra, investigating a small anomaly. Several days ago, an astromancy ritual I had done on the loathsome Kyra dynasty ended in a catastrophic disaster. The Crypteks babbled on about a new star, a Catan fractal, and all manner of Cryptek nonsense. What was so disastrous was the destruction of several astromancy artifacts being damaged or outright destroyed. One of the Crypteks outright died and had to be reanimated. The damage sustained from this, however, when he returned it, was found that the heat death burnt out several of his neural matrices. Executioner Felius of the Triarch Praetorians was sent out to investigate, given a list of several tomb worlds that were around the sections of space where this new star was. Be me, the damn reincarnate now overriding the Cryptek Ishakar. So after the whole turning into a Catan incident, and reawakening loads of Necrons memories, I didn't even know that was possible, I got to work on damage control. I had to ensure that every single Canoptek constructed removed the alert of a rogue Catan. I'm nowhere near stupid enough to let the information circulate. I don't want Orkan breathing down my neck. Better yet, the Awakened Council may have questions if they find out. These are better to avoid than deal with them now. Finally I get serious for the expedition up ahead. I check on my correspondence with Sinet. He's giving me instructions for getting one of our existing portals ready for him. It's miles worth of very fucking precise instructions. I get why he said it would take 25 years to set up. Since the timetable was that, it would take him 12 years to prepare supplies. I had 12 years of free time, 7 of which were spent making the 2 patterns of Scorpioid. I guess I can have my Cryptek constructs just fill up energy for the mission, and as much necrodermis as we can spare for this effort. With that, I begin the several-year effort to set up the, totally not a webway gate, dimensional gate. Sinet finishes ahead of schedule, even though I had a head start of 5 years. The project took 25 years, 5 of which Sinet was just waiting on me to wrap up. Well, we eventually have linked up both of our worlds together. Dimensional transmission to the world of Solomons is now possible. Oh shit, I unlocked fast travel to Trazan's fucking gallery, I realised. Trazan was a bit upset that we finished up early. He was in the middle of an acquisition run on some Xenos world, and I really didn't care about that at the moment. He had to cut his heist down in order to prepare his case to the Awakened Council. I suggested that, for whatever reason, he needed a dynastic representative, that he pushed for Overlord Vox. I had heavens know how much time before Trazan would go off and have a meeting with the council, so I'd just have to busy myself. I finally decided to check up on the host of Crypteks. A few years back I sent them off to make a comprehensive star map. What I received was an entire chamber dedicated to displaying a star map of the greater galaxy, rendered in hard light hologram charts. Kinda reminded me of Tony Stark's digital blueprints from all the MCU movies. All of the Crypteks seemed to be seated upon floating diadems, constantly making small changes and adding more stars, factoring in gravity and dozens of other bits of necessary alterations. I was surprised to find quite a nice section of the Ultima Segmentum was filled out. The Gothic sector and a few dozen surrounding areas were empty, but this was good enough. The veiled region to our galactic south held near nothing in our own stories of knowledge, which was fair. The region up north was patchy. We had the slightest bit more info on a certain sector, but nothing useful. Just a bunch of space that would need to be investigated at a later time. Looking closer at a map, I noticed something about our territory. We're not that far from Nocturne, are we? I hadn't realised it until now, but we are 5 star systems over from Vulcan's homeworld of Nocturne, which is only negligible travelling time. Not even that many months of travelling, if I'll be honest. Thinking back on Nocturne, it actually has a lot of metals that I'd love to harvest. My Cryptek looked up at me in slight confusion. I apologise. You see, I think I've just found a world which might be of some use to me. Fananet piped up. I'm glad you might find use for the work we do so diligently, my lord. She sounded a bit clipped, more like she didn't want me here. I'm just going to ignore that for now. She and Nocturne can wait for now. I summoned up Chari to my aid. I kinda want to pull a slight flex in these Crypteks, and a chance to make more minis if I'll be honest. When he eventually did arrive, I gave them a quick interstitial data pulse. Stepping onto the free-floating diadem, I directed Chari onto the table. Chari weaved Blackstone minis in the shape of Games Workshop webway gate. I had 12 of the gates placed onto the map, just the nearest ones in the Ultima Segmentum. My extensive study into reading nearly every fucking scrap of Eldar Codex, cameo in Imperium books, and audio drama pays off. Fananet crushes the guardrail as she watches me. The room goes silent. Lord, am I to believe you know entryways into the Eldar webway? Her voice trembles ever so slightly. I can't tell if she's mad or if she's excited. I give a slow nod to her. To an extent, some of these will need to be checked up on. Along with this, there will be some minor inaccuracies, you see. I feel like hot shit, actually. Is that so? Someone else's voice rung from behind me. An unfamiliar one at that. When I turned to see who it was, I was met by a Triarch Praetorian looming over me. The warrior tapping her lipless death mask. All my systems sputter and stop. I would have stopped breathing had I still lungs. Executioner Felius, I say in a shaken voice. Curious. The executioner moved uncomfortably close to my face. I reeled my head back, unable to look directly at her. I felt like a turtle ducking back into its safety of its shell. I had a few inquiries I wished to present with you. Her voice sent goosebumps across the surface of my arms. She had a taloned index finger trail, along with the bladed face of her relic execution scythe. The skid of metal against atom-rending phase weaponry filled me with a sense of dread I didn't know I could still feel. You do seem to be quite aware of many things. Come with me. She stepped towards and instantly started to follow. She stepped into a lengthy chamber. I had not entered into the chamber myself before. It was structured in a way that, at a glance, it may be seen as an amphitheatre, a place in which the reigning lords would discuss matters of political and economical matters, or, in rare cases, hold court, I murmured to myself. The Praetorian had remained awake for all of these 42 million years for the express reason to ensure that every single Necron upon every tomb world, across the hundreds of thousands of worlds in the immortal empire, still adhered to the ruling decrees laid out by the now deceased Necron tier race. I didn't fucking have any sort of law book on what laws I may or may not have broken. Before I came here, I made visits to the Orskar dynasty's territory to see if they had perhaps found ill of a star destruction. One could imagine my surprise when I found they had not used star-killing methods in several millennia. Which brings me to this very moment. How is it that one awakened Cryptek managed to birth and kill a star in the span of 3 seconds? My vocal emitter failed no less than 36 times trying to make a coherent sentence. Same. Instead, I'm making babbling sounds.
Sounds like a standard Neckbeardia video right there.
Yeah. I can feel the spaghetti overflowing from my pockets. I can't explain. I nervously chortled as I felt myself shrink before the murder machine. She raised her scythe by its haft, dropping it repeatedly against her palm. This was some sort of intimidation tactic, or was she just bored? I didn't want to know. Then enlighten me, Cryptek. How did you manage such a feat? My entrails nodded. Spaghetti on full display. Ass about to get torn a new one. You see... Halfway through my spaghetti fest, I dialed my chronosense to formulate a quick logic chain. If I tell her the entire truth, then I will stand most likely trial for unknown charges relating. What the fuck, that train of thought ended abruptly. Fuck, I need to hurry and think of something to tell this crazy Praetorian if I want to live. Wait, that's it, she's a motherfucking Praetorian. Meaning she would have already investigated the particulars of the case. She already said she checked on the celestial aura. She also managed to sneak past all of our defences and enter several sub-levels deep into the tomb world, into a room full of the sharpest minds the Necron faction has to offer. She's likely been over the entire tomb world, maybe even interviewed and or checked the minds of all the full awoken Necrons. I've got an ace up my sleeve now. I let the normal flow of time take root. Only half a second had actually passed while I was thinking. In my attempts to further my studies, I awoke 741 Necrons ahead of schedule by 18 million, I finally admitted. Executioner Felius didn't lose a second pressing her relic scythe to my throat. She didn't cut into me, but her weapon came within a fraction of a centimetre away from simply rending my neck. That is quite a dire claim, Cryptek. I hope you understand reanimating even 30 Lychguard would have put you into trouble, but to openly admit the awakening 741 of the dynasty's legions will have dire consequences. She took a pause as if she was about to say something further, but I stepped in before she could continue to berate me. I said I awoke them, I did not reanimate them. Her voice became venomous. She oh so wanted to see my head roll at her feet. Do you know what untold neural damage you might have caused? None, as you have no doubt already investigated. 741 sons and daughters of the immortal empire woke simultaneously without any damage to be spoken of, and any Necron above that of a warrior awoke to find their minds partially restored to them. Her body went rigid, so I kept on. I was conducting experiments well within my rights as a Cryptek when I unintentionally released a mass awakening event which I shall now refer to as the Resonance Cascade event. I had regained what little confidence I had now. What do your laws state about restoring the minds and personalities of 232 immortals, 91 deathmarks and 31 Lychguards? 387 warriors now imitate actions of the flesh time, little reveries only the organic Necron tier could indulge in. She stepped back. I felt the wrist that held the blade to my throat twitch. She knew everything I had said was true. Her mind was slowly piecing the puzzle pieces into their place. Felius had lowered her scythe in deep pondering. I let out a breath of relief. It calms me when I make that human gesture. She remained quiet for the next hour, for some shard-forsaken reason. I used this time to stop my legs from shaking, and coming up with what to say next. This actually might be a good idea to prepare for it if and when she asks me why I have knowledge on an Eldar webway. I think I can make a blanket statement of saying I'm also an astromancer like the diviner when it comes to any meta-knowledge slip-ups. She finally pipes up. Upon review, there has not been any legal stipulations that find your actions worthy of execution. This is simply unprecedented. However, I can't help but wonder as to what schemes are. What are you planning, Cryptek? That was slightly unexpected. I leaned my head forward, almost bowing. I have the foresight to correct the ways things are heading, but even if I tell you what schemes I have, I don't believe you would listen to me. She lets out an annoyed sound. So you too are a diviner. Why is it you believe I won't listen? I let out a laugh. The last time someone with foresight told you of what horrors await us, he was shunned, disregarded, and our whole race was dragged into the flames of biotransference. Executioner Felius left after that. She and I had a private dialogue for a brief moment via interstitial messaging. After she leaves the planet, I get a flood of reports from various Cryptek constructs that inform me of the presence of legions of Triarch Praetorians scattered across the world, leaving in masses. Whatever override restraints placed on my constructs and legions of warriors was removed. I get the feeling that won't be the last time I see her. I let Chari move about freely, and I took a stroll through the tomb world. More time to mill about. I think it'll take a few years just to relax. I head off to an unused chamber, and have several Cryptek swarms built the layout of my old living room out of blackstone. I start missing my home. A Cryptek scarab came into my home through one of the open windows. He started dropping minis near me. Weird ones of alien creatures. Some of the death marks occasionally pinged me images of these things. It was a nice little distraction. I started sending him various Games Workshop and Forge World models I liked, and did some minor work on its production spinneret to get some higher quality models out, along with a few more qualities of life upgrades. I only gave them Orc, Eldar, and a handful of random alien models from the Dark Eldar module line and the Tau line. That should keep them busy for a few years. For now I just wanted to be left alone, in my home. I sat with my blackstone reconstructions of my home from when I was still a human. It's awfully quiet, but that's fine for me. Occasionally I run through my siblings' and parents' rooms. I like to run through memories of my time with them. I remember everything with crystal clarity. Every birthday with them, reading books in bed, playing on our family Switch with my little sister. I feel like I should be crying, but I can't. There isn't any pain or heartache. It's just this numb longing. I kept milling for weeks at a time. I had scarves recreate most of my RPG books from my memory. Thank God I had read over each book cover to cover. Every once in a while I would thumb through a Dungeons and Dragons book, mostly just thinking about the hundreds of sessions I played through. Other times I would simply sit down at the fake monitor and just sit in front of it for hours at a time. I project my memories onto the screen from my Oculus, just running through text conversations I had with friends from Discord. It had been 69 years since I had become a Necron, and I couldn't even laugh at that. I just didn't have the time or focus required to realise how much I lost. When I would get tired of it all, I would simply sit on the hard blackstone approximation of my bed and stare at the ceiling. So this is what it's like to be a Necron, huh? Eventually, after having relived most of my life over the course of a few months, I finally took a seat down on my sofa. Since I learned projecting things through my single eye was a power I had, I started watching old Godzilla movies on my living room TV. I'd missed watching the newest one. There were so many things I had missed out on. Every once in a while, a few other of the awakened Necrons or Cryptek constructs would watch the movies with me. Even the Crypteks joined in. I didn't much mind, but both the living room and the connected kitchen filled up when I started the Godzilla marathon. It was fine. It was comforting to be around so many folks. After the Godzilla marathon, I found more Necrons who wished to watch with us. I basically ended up turning the chamber into a movie theatre. 775 seats had been made for the entire Awakened collection of Necrons to watch old movies with me. We watched the Planet of the Apes movies, Aliens, Star Wars, The Godfather, and to wrap it up, just about every Clint Eastwood movie I had ever sat through, which was all of them. It didn't really take that long to watch, if I'll be honest, but I didn't even know how desperately I needed that bit of normalcy. When the credits rolled, the sound of applause filled the chamber. I wish I could cry. After some time, I found most Immortals Lychguards in rapt discussion about the movies. No one seemed to want to ask directly what they had joined me to watch or even why it happened. I was fine with it. Agahet was also talking to a large host of Lychguards about Star Wars, and how it was inspiring a few ideas for the combat simulations. Something about it being a shame that the Praetorian didn't see it. Oh shit, he's talking about the Battlefleet Gothic. And I think he just admitted to giving her a copy of the game. I wonder if that'll come back to bite me later. Well, with movie night over, I'm gonna head over to Solomon's. Or I would have, had it not have been for my next unexpected guest.
Well, sorry about that, guys. I know you've been waiting, but a lot of things have happened in the last... So, do you want to start... Well, we start from Monday, Megan. So, Megan, we were up at the hospital, right? Megan had a swollen leg. Yeah, just a check-up, you know, for the baby and all that. So, we go up, and Megan's got a bit of a swollen leg, but it's been very warm here the last week or so. Hot. So they're thinking, alright, so you maybe got blood clots in your leg.
Might have a blood clot. Who knows?
All I'm going to say is it turned out fine, but we ended up having to arse about for near 4 full days at a hospital over bullshit paperwork.
Just to have a scan on my leg and the fella being like,
"No, you're sweet.
Wrong, it's fine." Fuck.
Ridiculous. So that happened, and then we came home, and
we just finished recording
a video. I was uploading it, so I was. And it says, oh, yeah, by the way, you got another warning on your channel, CD, another strike. The first strike was from a Commando K video. Mm-hmm. It was down for, I think it was hate speech, but it was hate speech against himself. Or was it was acts of crime or something. Anyway, so we got that guideline strike, and that was a while ago. That was a warning. And now we got another strike, and it was from a 9/11 meme video I made about 4 years ago.
Long.
Yeah, I made that like 4 years ago. Who knew that would come around to bite us? So so the problem is, we got 2 strikes. So we're banned from posting anything on the Neckbeardia channel. Also, because the 9/11 one, the reason for the strike, it said it was
criminal organization.
Oh, promoting criminal organizations. Uh-huh. So we also got demonetized on that channel as well. And I've actually spoken to quite a few people at YouTube at this point, and they all pretty much agree that, look, so your channel got demonetized, and you're not allowed to apply for monetization again until that strike is gone, which is 3 months away, which is in September, right? And also, they said that because it's one of the more extreme guideline strikes you can get, the guy said there's no chance that channel's ever being monetized. He says very, very rare you will ever see a channel monetized again. Yeah. So, at the moment, this channel isn't monetized yet, so we're trying to... we're just making videos for it, get the watch time up, and then once we apply for monetization, which the guy that I was talking to says, yeah, no, that's fine, because it won't affect anything. And I actually asked him, like, am I allowed to actually upload to other channels as well? And the guy said, no, that's completely cool. Any and all restrictions are only on that account, not any other account. So looks like we're gonna have to...
For the guys who are watching this, real homies, real OGs, keep sub to this channel, but we will be telling the boys on the other channel once we can post, which is like Tuesday or Wednesday, I think.
Yeah. Literally, we were actually going to take a week off, so we were, if I'm being honest with you.
Yeah. We
were going to, because that whole problem with the hospital, and Megan's only off on maternity now.
It's my first week off maternity.
It's like, right, no.
Let me relax, and then...
Then we'll get hard into this.
Yeah.
But... So pretty much, Megan went off on maternity. We lost access to our main job, and child's expected
in about 7 weeks. So, beast.
I suppose that's just life, though, when it comes to YouTube.
Yeah. But if you're watching,
thanks so much, guys, for being subscribed to this channel already. Everything in time will be moved over to this channel. We'll talk much more about this
at a later date.
But look, thank you guys for being
and
subscribed to this one already.
Check out the models, guys. They help us out so much.
Yeah.
Especially because we don't have, Neckbeardia and all up and running at the minute. Please check out the models and the subclasses, the t-shirts, everything else.
There might be something you enjoy, so go ahead, check it out. Enough rambling for now. Sorry for this taking so long. We will try and get this to a weekly upload. Make sure you hit the
notification bell on this channel, though, because it's a smaller channel. You mightn't get it whenever we upload, so make sure you hit that bell.
Yeah.
And, thanks, guys, for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye.